He couldn't be a fighter pilot and a single parent. It was too difficult for him to predict when he would be sent away on another assignment. If my mom were still around? It hung between us, the rest of the words unspoken. I could fill in the blanks. If my mom were still around, we would be a family. But she wasn't. When she left my dad, she took our family with her. My dad's parents assuming the role of my legal guardians. I loved my grandparents, and they loved me. But it still wasn't the same. You must be pretty brave to come to London by yourself, especially at such a young age. Brave? I wasn't sure if it had been bravery or desperation spurring my sole act of teenage rebellion. But ever since I'd received that rejection letter in the mail, my thoughts had been less than rational. It was all I'd ever wanted, Harvard. It was the best. I'd imagined my dad beaming with pride at my high school graduation, the one he'd ended up missing anyway. Harvard had been my chance to change everything. It was the reason I didn't date and skipped parties in favor of doing SAT prep on Friday nights, the motivation behind me joining every student organization. In the end, none of it was enough. I wasn't enough. She nudged me. We're nearly there. I turned toward the window, peering through the glass. Fog filled the sky, the air thick and heavy with it. It's hard to see anything. Just wait for it. Keep looking. Lights. Scattered throughout the fog were lights. Hundreds, thousands of lights, like a Christmas tree. Beneath us was a carpet of lights. Welcome to London. I peered out the taxi window, watching as the city passed me by. The ride from the airport took a little under an hour. As we drove, we crossed into more urban areas where the landscape of little houses disappeared, replaced by large blocks of multi-story apartment buildings and small shops on street corners. Little by little, the traffic increased, the driver laying on the horn several times and shouting out the window. BBC radio blared through the car speakers. The sidewalks were filled with people, their strides long and confident. Everyone looked as if they were in a hurry, as though wherever they were going was the most important place in the world. And it was noisy. Even over the radio, I heard the city, so different from anything I'd ever experienced. When the cab passed by the infamous Hyde Park and then Kensington Palace, only to turn onto what the cab driver referred to as Embassy Row, the reality of my new life began to sink in. We passed rows of expensive buildings, mansions, really. Some had guards stationed out front and flew flags of various countries, no doubt how Embassy Row got its name. Others were private residences, each one large and imposing. The taxi pulled through a set of enormous gates, traveling down a long gravel driveway. The driver let out a low whistle. I stared out the window, barely resisting the urge to panic. The school was huge. The grounds were perfectly manicured. Large trees dotted the landscape. Security buzzed around as students gathered in small groups, greeting each other and joking around. Ridiculously expensive cars, the likes of which I had only seen in movies, passed by. Thank God for my scholarship. I stepped out of the cab on shaky legs, offering a quick smile for the driver before sliding 3 crisp 20-pound notes into his hands. I rolled my 2 black bags up the drive, ignoring the group of boys lounging in front of the school's wooden doors. Samir, check out the new girl. Not my type. An accented voice, smooth and rich, called out behind me. I stiffened, turning to face the speaker. A boy stared back at me, lounging against the railing leading up to the school steps like he owned the place. He was average height and lean, dressed casually in jeans and a black t-shirt. His hair was an